news time is 4:05. I'm Bill Walter with this news update brought to you by the Duck Hunter. It was a better Thanksgiving for many families in the area, most likely because of the generosity of students and their families in Cache Valley. Matt Whitaker, executive director of the Cache Food Pantry, said Cache County School District donated 33,000 pounds of food from their food drives to the pantry. Dr. Steve Norton, the superintendent of Cache School District, is on the board of directors of the food pantry, and Whitaker asked him if he would support food collection in the schools. Norton agreed to help. The county schools on the north end of Cache County seemed to grasp the need and were more aggressive in their approach to collecting food. Skyview High School collected and donated a school record of 12,944 cans of food, which doubled their goal and was the most donated in their school history. Matt Sadler, who oversees the Skyview Student Council, said the food drive was held November 15th to the 19th. He said that Amy Karen, a student exec service member, headed up the effort. Karen said that they had been planning the food drive for a month before they started it. Well, as enjoyable as the weather has been, climate scientists warn that prolonged drought could threaten the region's water supply this winter. The scenario is playing out across the Rockies and the broader western United States, which is experiencing a mega drought that studies link to human-caused climate change. Zion National Park in Utah will soon require reservations to hike a famed trail perched on the edge of a Red Rock cliff. Park officials announced today that people who want to hike the narrow Angel's Landing hike will need permits provided through a lottery system starting April 1st. Zion Superintendent Jeff Bradybaugh says that the lottery will be more fair to visitors and reduce trail crowding. Hikers regularly fall and die from the trail edged by a sheer cliff. The number of people visiting Zion Park has grown rapidly in recent years. The Angel's Landing Trail is one of the park's most sought-after destinations. And far-right activist Ammon Bundy says the time he has spent campaigning to be Idaho's next governor should count toward his order to perform community service after being convicted of obstructing police during his arrest for trespassing at the state capitol. Aaron Welling is Bundy's campaign treasurer and told court officials late last month that Bundy completed more than 1,000 hours of public service doing what appears to be campaign activities. Bundy was convicted last summer of misdemeanor trespassing and resisting or obstructing officers at the State House in order to perform 40 hours of community service. He is among a crowded field of Republican candidates for the Idaho's May gubernatorial primary. KVNU weather mostly clear tonight. Hazy conditions, mid-20s, partly cloudy, then becoming mostly sunny, and a bit hazy again on Saturday. High temperature in the lower 50s. For more details on these and other stories, visit CacheValleyDaily.com.
How often should you change the filter on your furnace? A lot of people are surprised when they find out that most filters are only good for 60 to 90 days. Some cheaper filters won't even last that long. If you buy a good quality filter, you should still have it checked or replaced every year. Doing this will make sure your furnace runs more efficiently and keep the air that you breathe cleaner. For a free consultation, call the Duck Hunter, 770-4813.
News Talk KVNU, 610 AM and 102.1 FM.
Logan Dental Associates has been serving Cache Valley for over 20 years. They are excited to announce the addition of Dr. Brandon Preby, hygienist Emily Preby, and Dr. Curtis Taylor. Dr. Preby and Dr. Taylor will also continue to work at Cherry Creek Dental in Richmond. Now allow for increased hours and advanced services at Logan Dental Associates in Logan. Call and make your appointment with Dr. Brandon Preby or Dr. Curtis Taylor at Logan Dental Associates by calling 435-787-8207.
Monday edition, Clay Travis, Buck Sexton Show. We will be rolling through Dr. Marty Makari, the latest on everything COVID-related, what has happened over the weekend as it pertains to Omicron, and what in the world is going on with the Build Back Better agenda with the Biden administration. We'll be breaking all that down for you. Clay Travis, Buck Sexton, 12 to 3 Eastern. Come hang with us. It'll be Clay and Buck.
10 to 1 on News Talk KVNU, 102 FM at 610 AM.
Papa, why can't we telegraph while riding a horse?
Son, there ain't no one to blame but Jeffro. He was riding old Betsy the Stallion, tip-tapping away at his telegraph, when blam! Ran right into the side of the saloon.
Well, if Jeffro can't do it, neither should you. Don't text and drive.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Hey guys, it's me, Isabella Gomez, filling in for Smokey Bear because he's got more to say than just...
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Like, if you're outside enjoying a barbecue, don't let a hamburger distract you from fire safety. Make sure you aren't dumping your hot coals or ashes onto the ground because that could start a wildfire. So take wildfire prevention seriously and let's save the world one day at a time. Juntos con Smokey Bear, podemos hacerlo. Go to smokeybear.com to learn more about wildfire prevention.
Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
You've been diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. You have to carefully monitor your health for the rest of your life. And you have an increased risk of developing cardiovascular disease.
Cut. Take 2. Action.
You've been diagnosed with a new purpose, to fight for the amazing life you made for yourself. To look that risk of heart disease square in the face and say, no, not me. You've been given a new opportunity to live. Get started at NoDiabetesByHeart.org.
I was told that I wasn't to say anything unless I was asked about it secretly. That I should keep anything I'm feeling inside buried extra deep.
Hey, this is Grace Gosted. I'm a singer-songwriter, and like many, I've been traumatized by years of bullying. You're ugly, you're stupid, you're gay, you're worthless. I've felt fear, humiliation, and shame. Bullying causes real harm and can result in severe long-term depression, anxiety, addiction, and even self-harm. I created the Black Box Project for anyone who has ever felt different for any reason. So what are you hiding? What are you feeling? Go to theblackboxproject.org to hear from me, a mental health expert, and find resources to help you take the first step on the road to healing. Again, go to theblackboxproject.org. You are not alone.
In the vast ocean, there was room for only one victor.
Pull her broadside, men! Brace yourself!
Many would never come back.
For the Queen!
But those who did would be legend. This epic battle for destiny will have to wait until after it rains.
But, Dad, we're winning!
I don't want to get wet.
Dad, we're at sea.
Well, maybe we can storm the kitchen.
Children who spend time with their parents are less likely to drop out of school, abuse drugs or alcohol, and are more likely to finish college. So imagine what a little time can do for your family.
To the deli!
From the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
For the people.
We are waiting with bated breath for news from the Cash Republican Party meeting an executive committee tonight.
With Jason Williams.
And I'm really excited about this next segment. We have two guests here in studio. We're going to talk about something that we've talked about many times here on the show, but from a bit of a different angle.
Weekday afternoons from 4 till 6 on News Talk KVNU, 610 AM and 102 FM.
Welcome to KVNU's For the People. I'm Jason Williams, joined in studio by a very special guest. It's been a bit of a tumultuous year for Utah Democrats as far as party leadership goes, with an announcement of resignation from the sitting party chair at the time, Jeff Merchant, who listeners of the show will remember was a frequent guest here. He had to leave for very good reasons, to say the least. No scandal or anything like that. And, of course, then an acting chair stepped into the role, and then a sort of special election took place just this month for Utah Democrats, electing a new chair of the party. The chair of the party is an important role, mainly because the chair of the party can help set an agenda for how the party moves forward into a coming election year, just around the corner, unfortunately. No break from these anymore. So joining us here in the studio is the newly elected chair of the Utah Democratic Party, Diane Lewis. And Diane, appreciate taking some time for KVNU today. And tell us how you made the decision to step into this role. Not an easy thing to do, right?
No, not at all. So my background is labor. So I was the business manager of a trades union for about 11 years here in Utah, Labor's Local 295.
Long history there, right?
Yeah. Member for 21 years, which was amazing. And that's when I saw for my own, from working with the laborers union, how important the political realm is. So during my career, I decided to run for office. I lived in West Jordan at the time, and I ran for House District 43. And that was in 2014, and that was a pretty rough year, as you know.
Sure.
We didn't get a lot of people out to vote that year. And, but, I got the bug. And so I decided to retire from labor in last year. And I thought, okay, what am I going to do? I got to keep myself busy. And I really like politics. And I had an opportunity. I saw that, there was going to be a vice chair position open for the state party. And I talked to a couple people, and they were like, yeah, you should do it. So I did. And then... But I was just going to run for the vice chair, not the chair.
You didn't think you'd be in the hot seat,
No, I didn't think I was going to be in the hot seat. So then, as you said about Jeff Merchant, I hated to see him go, but he had some health issues, and so he had to step down. And then I became the acting chair, and I've got there's an amazing staff at the Utah Democratic Party that helped me to learn quickly and understand a lot. And so I decided, I am going to run for the chair until next convention, which is in April of 22. And then I have to run once again to finish out the term to make sure that term is done. So I'll have a couple elections in
back to back.
Yes. So I'm excited, though, because, it kind of feeds me. It's really a great thing. It's a lot of fun. I get to meet amazing people and like-minded people.
Sure.
So
and as chair, you get to communicate a sort of vision of a political party. It's an interesting time for Utah Democrats. There is a lot of demographic change in Utah. We're seeing turnout increasing in elections, which is always helpful for the minority party or the underdog party in any state that's got such a supermajority. But then you're also up against, we just saw redistricting happen here in Utah, and Democrats lost big in that. Even though we're not supposed to talk about it this way, I know but the map that was officially passed, it was a pretty political map, even when it comes to some legislative districts. That's a challenge, right? Another hurdle that a minority party has to overcome.
It is, but you know what I've seen, and just in the last couple of weeks, is after those maps were, approved and sent out, we have had a lot of calls, and it seems that we've kind of activated the Democratic Party, and they're excited, and, we've had some people from South, calling us saying, what can we do, and our county chairs, we have 29 counties, and we have county chairs in every one, or, county parties in every one. And they're excited. They okay, Diane, we're going to hit the ground running. We've got to do this.
Sure.
And then we have the incumbents that we have to save. I'm Rosemary Lesser, who's up here in Weber, and
she has a bill right now trying to do away with the food tax.
Is that awesome?
That's a pretty big thing.
It is.
That is so an example of the contribution of Democrats. It's of course growing the party has always been as far as every chair we've spoken with, growing the party is always a focus. Mm-hmm. But I've always said nothing gets people looking for an alternative like hubris, and our legislature definitely seems to be holding on to some of that. When you speak with legislative Democrats, those who are elected to go up there every 45 days, what's their experience like here in Utah?
It's really interesting to see because they understand the what's the word I want? The working, how to work and negotiate.
Sure.
And it's a struggle for them, but I think they're all so passionate about what they want to see for the people of Utah and for their constituents and people that call them, such as Rosemary. I talked to her about that not too long about that tax, and she's very, very excited about moving that. And, and each one has their own little passion, which is exciting to see. And, and the senators, same thing, so they're excited about being in the legislature, and I think their passion drives them.
Sure. And there is some tenure there as well. Senator Escamilla, 20 years now? Has it been that long? It's been a while. Maybe not 20,
has.
but
I don't think it's been quite that
long. I know
long.
she's been there quite some time, and she has pretty big success every year getting bills passed.
She does. She does, very much so.
So when it comes to the broader state, the Democratic Party, of course, has a solid foothold in Salt Lake County. And then you start to see demographics and vote totals and stuff like that. You start to see, there's a little purple creeping in Weber and some pockets of Cache County even. What's your overall vision for where the Democratic Party focuses next as far as growing the party?
So you basically said it because of Salt Lake County. Salt Lake County is a pretty stronghold for the Democrats, and it continues to be that way, and even stronger with people that do come into Salt Lake County and move into Salt Lake County.
Sure.
Except for maybe out on the south side and southwest side, But our vision is to cover the state. That was one thing that when I ran for vice chair, I heard from the different counties that, the state party doesn't always come and visit them and see them, and or that we don't help them as much as we do Salt Lake, because they see that focus in Salt Lake and they see that representation in Salt Lake. But that's our vision now, is to move out south, San Juan, Grand, down that way. Today we were able to meet with the Cache County Democrats, which we were very excited about, and getting them active. Yeah. Getting them active. So that's what we want to do, is broaden our focus in the entire state.
It's a registration issue of sorts, isn't it? I mean, I know it's not ever that simple, but we have traditionally low turnout here in Utah for the registered voters, and then we have a huge block of unaffiliated voters who have not chosen a party at all. Do you feel that's an opportunity for Democrats, that block of unaffiliated, unaligned voters?
Yes, that's a huge opportunity for us, was the unaffiliated voters. We've noticed that, if you look at the numbers, a lot of times unaffiliated tend to vote Democratic, tend to go that direction. There are some that do go Republican, and so, but, we reach out to them and we speak with them. And that's another goal of ours, is start early and start talking to them and telling them how important it is that our legislators aren't listening to us, that, the majority party aren't listening to us, such as our redistricting.
Sure.
They didn't listen to Prop 4 what we said in the state of Utah.
That independent commission was, and this is according to members of the commission, ignored in that process. A really distasteful thing to see play out, even if a bit predictable. This is, again, the chair of the Utah Democratic Party, our guest here in the studio, Diane Lewis. You can connect with Utah Democrats and also find out more about Diane and her long history and involvement in various different ways in politics, in union and labor work, and more at the Utah Democratic Party website, utah.democrats.org. You can also search for Utah Democrats on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, a lot of different ways to connect. And, of course, the Cash Democratic Party has social media channels and can be found at cashdems.org as well. All of those links are on our Facebook page. Diane Lewis here talking to us about the future of the Democratic Party and the immediate future. And this is, I realize as we're speaking here, this is a bit unfair to you because you've just been elected chair to fill out the remainder of Jeff Merchant's term, and then you'll have to run again in the spring if you choose to run for a full term. And in between all of this, you're going to have to oversee fundraising heading into the next election for the entire party, and then probably the biggest task any chair, any executive committee, leadership of the party in general face, candidate recruitment. You've got to have candidates, preferably for every open race. That's no small task.
No. But one thing that we do have, which we started some years back, was actually a candidate recruitment committee. And they are hitting the ground running. And they've already we've been working with them for a couple months now, and we've already got some names on there. We're not going to tell you those names.
Sure.
But we've got some names that, are considering running. And so, we're going to take it from the school boards all the way up to the congressional and national Senate races. So, they are a big group of people excited. There are some past candidates, some past legislators that are going to help us with this candidate recruitment. And again, we're hitting the ground running. We're not going to let this redistricting stop us.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's it. It's healthy, I think, to have political challenges. If a person can walk into an election, just walk into that legislative seat or federal delegate position, you run into trouble. Yeah. So I like the idea of there being at least being hard for an incumbent, at least make it a challenge. But obviously, the goal of the Democratic Party is to increase, influence in that federal contingency. But I know from friends, within the party that the legislature is a big focus right now for the Democratic Party, right? Mm-hmm. Growing the number of Democrats on the Hill for that 45-day session. And how does one go about that? Are there obvious areas of focus right now? Did redistricting change anything? Are there going to be incumbents that the party has to defend because of a boundary move in any way?
Yes.
Okay.
There was an article in the Trib, and it talked about 3 that the Republicans thought they could take, and those 3 were Salt Lake County. Actually, one of our incumbents, Representative Suzanne Harrison, was actually taken out of her district, the map taken her out completely. So, we are really going to focus on those incumbents. And then there's, like I talked about earlier, Representative Rosemary Lesser, who is in a little harder district than she was before. So we're going to really support those incumbents and, as you said, get new candidates to run too, and just make sure that we have somebody in every race that we can possibly have. So, and I talk to people a lot, and it amazes me that sometimes, as you know, the presidential race seems to bring out a lot of people. I think people need to know that local politics is more important.
Yeah.
And that's where you can make a difference. Vote for the local candidates, and we can make a difference there.
That is... Is that part of your long-term vision as well? The phrase that you often hear is building a bench. The party builds a bench by, getting great candidates to run for local offices, city councils, and things like that. Right. And that's been a long-term plan for the party, right?
Correct. And it continues, yes.
Continues, okay.
Right. Right, definitely.
It's going to be interesting. This upcoming cycle, of course, all eyes are probably going to be on this United States Senate race with Senator Lee up for re-election. You have two Republicans challenging him within the party, Ali Ism and Becky Edwards. You have an independent with a bit of name recognition, Evan McMullen. And then I assume if someone decides to throw their name in, there will be a Democrat in that race as well.
Right.
That could be pretty exciting for turnout.
It could be. It could bring a lot out, especially like you said with this Mike Lee race. We're not sure yet. Again, I'm not going to throw names out.
Sure.
We have some people that are looking to run and, against Mike Lee. And so we're going to see what happens and when.
Wow, your cars look so shiny.
Thanks. I've been taking them to Green Gorilla Car Wash. Thanks to their new ceramic application, my cars have never had such a glossy shine.
Sounds expensive.
You haven't heard about their sale? Right now, their Jungle membership with ceramic coating is half off for every vehicle. Instead of $30 per month, I'm only paying $14.99 from now until September 2022.
That's almost a whole year.
I know. My half-price membership is good at both Green Gorilla locations in the Valley.
I better head there now.
Wow, Mike, you look terrific. How you liking the new job?
It's terrific, Meg. I've lost so much weight since working at Polylift, I need new pants.
How about we get you into something more comfortable?
Bet you my old bell bottoms will fit.
Well, what are we waiting for?
Get a job that'll make you fit. Polylift offers competitive wages and an active 9-to-5 that'll get your wife's attention. Visit poly-lift.com for more details or call or text 435-999-9309. Polylift is locally owned and operated.
And, against Mike Lee. And so we're going to see what happens and how it all shakes out after. And I'm sure it'll be after the first of the year before we really hear that they are definitely going to run. But we'll see what we can do to help them as well, And then we go to convention, and when we go to convention, of course, the delegates choose
the nominees.
Right.
That's right.
Right.
It's Diane. It's a pleasure to speak with you about all this. It's the inner machinations of party politics have always been fascinating to me, but it's such fun to see what a long-term thing this is. Parties, whether it's a Republican Party or a Democratic Party, county or state, they're always organizing. They're always putting a plan together, and at the same time trying to craft some kind of a message, some kind of a vision. I know that this is something that the party at large and executive leaders and more will work on. But if you had to right now just, put out one phrase for people wondering what being a Utah Democrat is all about, could you do it? Can it be summed up in a sentence? Utah Democrats stand for blank.
Stand for the people.
Okay. That's fair.
They actually do. That's what we believe in, is the people. And that's who we represent.
That is, that's it. I like that message, too. It fits on a T-shirt.
Oh, there we go. Thank you.
I see your future as chair is bright.
Well, thank you.
Not that I'm an expert in any way. My political predictions have been so off for years here. Diane Lewis, newly elected chair of the Utah Democratic Party after serving as acting chair. She's now the official interim chair, and so she'll fill out the rest of Jeff Merchant's term. Again, he resigned a bit early in his term due to health reasons, and so she'll fill out the rest of that term. And then if she decides to run for a full term in the spring convention for Utah Democrats, you can find out more about her and the Utah Democratic Party on social media, searching for Utah Democrats, or visit the website utah.democrats.org. And always, when we're talking about parties, when we're talking about candidates, if you are inclined in any way to even ask questions about running for office, reach out to your party of choice, regardless of which party that is, because it really does matter. And you can do that for the Utah Democrats, again, at utah.democrats.org. And we'll be back with more of KVNU's For the People right after this look at the news with KVNU's Bill Walter.
Thank you, Jason. KBNU News Time is 4:34, and the news is brought to you by Northern Steel Buildings. A 29-year-old North Logan man has been arrested after police report they found a large database of thousands of pictures and videos of child pornography on his electronic devices. Tyrell Judy was booked into the Cache County Jail Thursday after allegedly admitting to having a sexual attraction to children. According to the arrest report, Logan City police officers received a cyber tip from the Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force in September. It described how an electronic device was allegedly uploading hundreds of child pornography pictures and videos to file sharing accounts. The female children ranged in age from 4 to 12 years of age. As the investigation continued, police filed a warrant to search the file-sharing account. They received 18 gigabits of information, including almost 5,000 photos and over 1,580 videos, mostly of child pornography. The Utah Department of Health has confirmed the first case of the Omicron COVID-19 variant in the state. According to a statement from authorities today, the individual is an older adult living in the Southwest Utah Public Health District who had recently returned home from a trip to South Africa. According to the statement, the person is fully vaccinated, received monoclonal antibody treatment, and is recovering at home after experiencing only mild symptoms. The UDOH conducted a thorough case investigation, including identifying any close contacts of the case. Officials said the individual who tested positive, as well as the person's close contacts, have been very cooperative and are following isolation guidance from public health authorities. Authorities noted that there are still many unknowns about the Omicron variant, including if it causes a more severe disease or not. Scientists are currently studying it to learn if it spreads more easily and how well current vaccines work against it. UDOH noted that vaccination and booster shots are the best protection against COVID-19, and both the CDC and Utah Department of Health are strongly recommending adults 18 and older get booster doses 6 months after receiving their Pfizer or Moderna shots, or 2 months after receiving their Johnson & Johnson shot. KBNU News Time is 4:37.
Santa's sleigh carries lots of toys for girls and boys, but it's not quite big enough to fit a real building. Northern Steel Buildings can build you that custom building you've always wanted in a timely fashion. They specialize in custom buildings from commercial, industry, warehousing, shop, agriculture, and aviation that's built to last. Schedule a free consultation at northernsteelbuilding.com. That's northernsteelbuilding.com, or call them at 435-677-7300. That's 677-7300. Value from concept to construction.
KBNU weather for tonight. Mostly clear skies, but hazy conditions tonight. The overnight low in the upper 20s, and then sunny, but areas of haze tomorrow. High temperature in the lower 50s. It's been to 53. Right now it's 49 at KBNU. KBNU weather brought to you by Maple Creek Ranch, featuring breathtaking canyon views and opportunities for real estate development. 2.5-acre lots are now available. Visit maplecreekranch.net. That's maplecreekranch.net. For more details on these and other stories, visit CacheValleyDaily.com. Let's check Wall Street now with Edward Jones.
This is financial advisor Clayton McMurdy from Edward Jones, bringing you the daily financial market report for Friday, December 3rd. The U.S. erased earlier gains and closed the week lower. A spreading Omicron variant caused this wild trading action this week, with the market initially taking a few steps back and then experiencing a strong rebound, but ultimately finishing the week lower. Investors are trying to gauge if the new variant will cause a slowdown in economic activity. In our view, the appetite for further lockdowns remains limited, especially in the United States. However, time will tell if the new variant causes more severe health effects than the Delta variant, and if the current vaccines provide any protection against the new variant. Both factors will play a role in how policymakers act to combat the virus. U.S. equities closed lower today. The Dow closed down 60 points at 34,580. The NASDAQ was down 296 at 15,085. And the S&P 500 was down 39 points at 4,538. In bond markets, the 10-year Treasury yields are trading at 1.35%. And in commodity markets, the price of crude oil was down 13 cents at 66.37, and the spot price of gold was up $21.10 at 1,783.80. In stocks of local interest, Apple was down $1.92 at 161.84. Autoliv down $2.14 at 98.09. Campbell's Soup was up 61 cents at 41.13. GE down 2.46 at 92.77. Home Depot up 4 cents at 407.81. Lowe's down $1.70 at 248.69. Nucor up $2.94 at 110.50. Procter & Gamble up $2.62 at 149.88. R.R. Donnelley up 10 cents at $10.73. Thermo Fisher up $8.53 at 636.11. Wells Fargo down $1.16 at 47.75. Walmart up $2.04 at 137.51. And Zions was down $2.14 at 61.91. This has been the closing financial market report for Friday, December 3rd, brought to you by Clayton McMurdy from Edward Jones, member SIPC, serving individual investors with personalized attention and long-term financial advice at 1309 North Main Street in Logan. If you'd like any additional information, feel free to stop by any of our 7 offices in Cache Valley or call us at 435-753-0537. Information can also be found online at edwardjones.com.
Hey, it's Al Lewis. Let's talk buttons. Not the buttons on your clothes. I'm talking the kind you press. Fresh cup of coffee, a button. Top floor of an office building, just a simple click. Everyday buttons make our lives way easier. If you have sleep apnea and can't use CPAP, there's a button that can help you go from this to this. It's called Inspire. It works inside your body with just the click of a remote. That's right, a button. It's a small device placed during a same-day outpatient procedure. Simply click the button on the Inspire remote before you fall asleep. As you sleep, Inspire keeps you breathing normally and sleeping peacefully. If you struggle with CPAP, great sleep awaits at InspireSleep.com. That's InspireSleep.com. Inspire. Sleep apnea innovation. No mask, no hose, just sleep. Inspire is not for everyone. Talk to your doctor to see if it's right for you and review important safety information at InspireSleep.com.
When the bills from your accident pile up, it's time for you to consider professional legal counsel. Get the Bear. Berenson and Caldwell.
My dad was in a car accident. He was rear-ended by a work truck. He sustained some pretty bad injuries. What we didn't know at the time was that he also had sustained a traumatic brain injury, and it really affected his personality. You know, if he had just had an MRI, if he'd had someone pushing him to get checked out, make him feel confident that he wasn't going to end up going bankrupt with medical debt.
Visit BerensonLaw.com to instantly connect and receive a free case review of your injury. BerensonLaw.com.
NMLS 1817019.
Want the lowest mortgage rate? Don't go to a bank or credit union. LendRight Mortgage's rates are often at least 0.25% lower than other lenders. Listen to these Google reviews from very happy clients. Mary, I did my due diligence and compared 3 other companies, and none of them could compete with the rates offered by LendRight Mortgage. David, LendRight had the best rate we could find, and we shopped pretty heavily. Megan, they got me a great interest rate, much lower than competitors. Landon, from start to finish, they were great. Other companies couldn't touch their rates. Ron, on top of the superior service, I also got a 1.75% rate. Wow. This is why we confidently offer a $1,000 lowest rate guarantee. Rates in the ones will soon be gone. Call 801-APPROVE or visit LendRightMortgage.com.
This is the Sean Hannity Show.
And when the Taliban was on the march, he could have just hit them with airstrikes, pushed them back, expedited the withdrawal while we had control of Kabul, gotten out every American, every Afghan ally, all of our military equipment. Well, we didn't know this would happen in 11 days. You should have known. because the Taliban was on the march since the month of March.
Sean Hannity, weekday afternoons from 1 to 4 on News Talk KVNU.
Are you Gus's son?
I'm Owen. I'm to drive you to Wichita to catch a train?
Yeah, we'd appreciate it.
Train don't run out of Wichita. Unless you're a hog or a cattle.
Welcome back to KVNU. KVNU's For the People, rather. Had the name of my show for a second. It's Friday. I can get away with those types of mistakes. Thanks again to Diane Lewis for joining us. And coming up on Monday's show, we had to cut time with her a little short yesterday, but we'll be speaking with a Republican candidate for United States Senate here in Utah. This race already underway, but really officially underway in 2022. And Becky Edwards will be joining us on Monday's show. Again, we spoke with her a bit yesterday ahead of her visit to USU as part of a panel on civility in politics that USU's Institute of Government Relations was hosting. Several people are part of this panel, including Becky Edwards. As a former Republican state lawmaker, she had a lot of perspective on negotiating and making connections in the legislative process. So that video you'll be able to see as soon as the Institute posts it to their YouTube channel, and I recommend you do. They had a great one last month with an Idaho state senator who started a foundation promoting civility in our politics. Becky Edwards gave us a call yesterday to talk about her visit today, and then we had to cut things short due to timing and schedules, so we've invited her back. She'll be joining us on Monday's show at the start of the 5 o'clock hour. Diane Lewis, of course, our guest at the start of the hour, the new interim chair, and probably, I would guess, the person who runs for chair for a full term in the spring of the Utah Democratic Party. It's going to be an interesting year, and we'll see where things have shifted and not because of redistricting, because of demographic changes, things like that. We'll see which areas of the state kind of change political makeup-wise. We won't know for sure, of course, until next November, but we'll start to have some hints coming out. So we'll keep an eye on that, to say the least. This was interesting. Check it out. The letter is posted at cachevalleydaily.com. A letter to the editor written by a Skyview High School student. And this letter to the editor deserves some background. I'll point everyone to it, and you can go read it and make up your own mind. This was written by Skyview High School student Carter Chatterton, and he writes, I'm writing because I think that recent comments in a KSL News report, he writes, were unfair to Skyview High School. The comment was, this was an interview with someone named Katie Schumacher, and she said that students had reached out from Skyview who were attesting to the racism that they hear every day in the hallways, and nobody brings it up because it's the majority of the students. Chatterton writes, as a high school student at Skyview, he said, I'm a senior, and I'm proud of it, and like many, I was appalled at poor taste in costumes shown by a very select few of my peers. But that is not representative of our student body. I know the majority of my classmates to be kind-hearted and inclusive individuals, and I feel it's unfair to portray them as anything else. It was a sweeping generalization, Chatterton writes, because the actions of a loud minority. I believe I speak for the majority of my peers when I say I'm hurt by their portrayal of our school as a student body, and I ask that they stop making statements based on uninformed assumptions. So Chatterton saying this is a loud minority, that Skyview is definitely not a school rampant with racism. Where does this all come from? Well, we haven't talked about it on the show here yet, and we will in more detail, actually reaching out to some folks at the district and more. There's a long story behind this. Some students made some poor choices in Halloween costumes, got a bit racist. That led to the school deciding they were going to have an assembly where they would kind of address this, and they invited a new employee of the Davis County School District, hired after a Department of Justice investigation found rampant racism and poor handling of reports of racism by the district itself in Davis County. That was part of their decision to respond to that. They said they appreciated the investigation, it helped them move forward, and they hired this woman to sort of oversee a diversity program to raise sensitivity about what it's like for students of color in Utah schools and help everyone else understand that more. It's a good thing. She was invited to speak at Skyview after this unfortunate Halloween costume event, and then the politics got involved. There's an organization magically popped up here in Utah, Colorado, California, Nevada, a lot of states, and there's some money behind this. And here in Utah, they're calling themselves Utah Parents United. In California, it's California Parents United. And they've got a lot of local parents involved. They were recently in the news because they were writing a lot of letters about banning books. That didn't play out so popularly, so they dropped that campaign. They had a previous campaign to get everybody worked up about critical race theory, which is taught in law schools, not elementary schools. That didn't go anywhere, so they dropped that. And these things are obvious. We've seen this happen before. They're usually funded by someone in another state, and then local parents kind of fall for it until they realize what it is, and then they jump ship. This group flooded the Skyview phones and email inboxes with complaints about this video called 400 Years. Go watch it. It's on YouTube. There is zero in this video that's offensive at all. But some, I guess, were upset. So that's the background. The letter to the editor you can read from a Skyview student on our website at cachevalleydaily.com, and I recommend you do. And that's the backstory behind all of this. And the only thing I have to say, it's unfortunate that sometimes, and we've seen this again and again in the last couple of years, it's unfortunate that sometimes the teens, the seniors, the juniors, the sophomores, the freshmen in high school are more mature than the adults. But that just keeps happening again and again. So some took issue with the video that was shown, and the principal apologized, which he probably shouldn't have. Administrators have a tendency to panic and when they get a bunch of phone calls. This was an organized campaign by a group that's backed by an out-of-state funding mechanism, and we need to be less quick to panic. That's my takeaway from all this. And unfortunately, that led to this interview. KSL News had this interview that I did happen to see this. It did characterize Skyview as a school with a racism problem. Carter Chatterton, student at Skyview High School, writing in to say, we don't have an overall problem with racism at Skyview. I'm paraphrasing the letter to the editor here, of course. This is just the work of a very loud minority. And he cautions people in his letter to the editor to refrain from making generalizations about an entire student body of an entire school. Again, proud of this senior in high school for being the one adult in the room in all of this at Skyview High School, apparently. We'll be back, kick off a bit early, the For the People movie show with Andy Morgan of AndyAtTheMovies.com right after this here on KVNU's For the People.
News Talk 610 AM, 102.1 FM, KVNU.
It's true, many of us spend more time thinking about what's for dinner than thinking about retirement. But if you think your retirement needs deserve more attention, we agree, and we'd like to help. We're Edward Jones. Together, we can give your long-term retirement strategy the attention it deserves. Contact your local Edward Jones financial advisor to get started today. Call 1-800-ED-JONES. Visit edwardjones.com or stop by any of the 7 Edward Jones offices in Cache Valley.
At Winco, we're working to save you money. Big savings on top quality meat, produce, seafood, and deli. Bakery fresh breads, cakes, and cookies made daily in store. Low prices on top quality national brands and thousands of our own private label. In every aisle, every department, every day.
Now open in Logan at 1341 North Main Street.
The day may be done, but you're still not finished. Sound familiar?
Taking care of life's business doesn't always happen at the most convenient times. At DL Evans Bank, we've made sure it's easy for you to access and manage your banking wherever, whenever. Making sure the way you bank improves the way you live. That's been our way since 1904. In times like these, it's good to have a bank like this. DL Evans Bank. This is community banking.
Wow, your cars look so shiny.
Thanks. I've been taking them to Green Gorilla Car Wash. Thanks to their new ceramic application, my cars have never had such a glossy shine.
Sounds expensive.
You haven't heard about their sale? Right now, their Jungle membership with ceramic coating is half off for every vehicle. Instead of $30 per month, I'm only paying $14.99 from now until September 2022.
That's almost a whole year.
I know. My half-price membership is good at both Green Gorilla locations in the valley.
I better head there now.
He's Caucasian?
Caucasian?
Yeah, you know, a white guy. With a mustache, about 6'3".
An awfully big mustache.
Welcome back to KVN News for the People. Andy's here in the studio, so we're going to go ahead and just start the For the People movie show a few minutes early.
That was so funny. I forgot how funny those lines are.
The cut there from Naked Gun. There's some great one-liners in that movie.
Oh, man.
They hold up. Have you watched?
That's an awfully big mustache.
Awfully big mustache. Have you ever gone back and watched any of them? I mean,
I did.
They're 30-something years old, but they actually, the comedy holds up mostly.
The closer they get to our current year, which is still a ways away, the funnier they are. I showed my kids Airplane, Dad of the Year, hashtag Dad of the Year, and my kids were like, Dad, this isn't funny. And I was like, this is so funny.
They didn't think it was funny?
They're like, you used to smoke on airplanes.
That was all that.
They fed you a meal? Is this flight going to Europe? And I was like, no, it was just going to Chicago.
There is smoking on airplanes in the Airplane movie.
It is.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, that's like a running joke. And then, the whole, again, would you like fish or chicken? I remember being on planes. I mean, I'm that old where, they asked me what I wanted to eat. But
even on a short flight?
Yeah, I mean, if you flew from like Salt Lake to, let's say, Chicago or Salt Lake to Detroit, I remember those are. Well, I didn't fly to Chicago, but if you were going anywhere east, like a 3 or 4 hour flight, you got a meal.
They fed you.
Yeah, and then
now it's just what they're calling a cookie.
Yeah. Anyway,
it's more of a wafer.
Anyway, it just was really fun. It's just funny to me. But yeah, so they watched that, and then I was showing my son. The Naked Gun, and he says, "Wait, Dad, is that OJ?" And I was like, "That is OJ."
And he's in all of them.
Yeah, Nordberg.
He's in all of them.
I actually should apologize publicly on the radio to my sister.
Wasn't the last one just a few years before all that OJ stuff went down?
Was he in Naked Gun 33 and a half? I don't know if he
maybe he
wasn't in that one. Let's look. But I should probably apologize to my sister, because when she was little, we used to call her Nordberg because he was like the annoying sidekick, and so
Nordberg.
If you're listening, Mary, I'm sorry. Anyway,
that is kind of cruel.
He is actually
it's a very sibling thing to do, though.
Yeah, that's that's what the bonds that hold us together. The meanness that held us together.
The cruelty and hazing.
We actually
that makes a family strong.
That could be another hour of radio. He actually is in Naked Gun 33 1/3.
Oh, I didn't.
I forgot that it's called.
I'm surprised because I'm pretty sure that one came out. I remember looking this up before. It was very close to when everything went down.
It was
for
94. Yeah, it was 94.
Yeah,
so
same year.
They usually film a movie a year before it comes out. So he filmed it obviously when he wasn't a murderer, or I should say an alleged murderer, right? Because isn't he not guilty technically?
Guess.
Anyway,
sure is suspicious acting since that not
kinda
guilty.
Kind of weird. Anyway, but you know what?
I was actually on the not guilty side for years until like the other stuff he did, and I'm like, he probably did it.
Yeah, I was on the not guilty.
Nobody
thing.
acts that way after being acquitted.
Yeah,
unless they got acquitted by sheer luck.
Yeah,
if the glove don't fit.
Oh my gosh! Anyway, you know what? There's
Isn't there a Chewbacca riff on that somewhere?
There might have been. Okay. One thing I really, really like is in Naked Gun, the second movie, whatever that one is. I laughed so hard when Nordberg's trying to do some wiring under a car or something, and he gets stuck under the bus. And then it's like 24 hours goes by, and Frank answers the phone. He says, Nordberg, why are you in Detroit? Because, he's yelling from under the bus the whole time. Frank! Anyway, it's so funny. So funny. That started something. It was serious actors that were in those really weird comedy roles.
Screwball comedy movies.
Good stuff. We have so much to talk about.
What are we going to start with next hour?
I'm not going to tell you until you just got to stick around. But it is so much. We have so much.
There are a lot of movies.
There is. We got like 4 or 5. How about that?
Right. He was here early, but the For the People movie show officially underway in just a few minutes here on KVNU Logan.